What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another video. It's finally here. Today I'm going to be showing you how to code a Discord bot with JavaScript. In case you're confused why I'm not doing tutorials about what I usually do and why my channel name and logo are different, make sure to watch the last video announcing the changes to the channel and then come back to this video to learn how to create a bot with JavaScript. So before we get started, you need to get ready and install a few things on your PC. So go to your browser, and I'll leave the links in the description. So first go to nodejs.org and download Node.js. I would recommend the LTS, which is currently it's 16.17.0 and it says recommended for most users. The current one has latest features, but it's mostly buggy and most people use the LTS version. So I would just recommend getting the LTS version. And then in the other link, go to Visual Studio Code or code.visualstudio.com and download Visual Studio Code. Select your version from here and download it. Visual Studio Code is basically the code editor that we're gonna use to actually write the code. It's kind of like Replit. If you used Replit before to make bots, you could also use Replit, but I would recommend using Visual Studio Code. So after you installed both of those, we don't need the browser anymore. And now you can make a folder on your computer. Just anywhere on your computer, it doesn't matter. Most people do it on their desktop, so just right click on your desktop and click new folder, and you can name it whatever you want. I'm gonna name it Discord tutorial bot, and I would recommend not having spaces because if you have spaces it could cause problems later in the code. So just replace your spaces with dashes. And then once you created the folder, just right click on the folder, click show more options, and then click open with code. But this option might not show for you. When you're installing Visual Studio Code, there's an option to add this button while you're installing it. But if you forgot to check that button, I'll show you how to go to it manually. If you click show more options and click open with code, it's gonna automatically open Visual Studio Code in that folder, but I'll show you how to do it manually in case you didn't check that. So just open Visual Studio Code on your computer. If it's the first time you're opening Visual Studio Code on your computer, then you'll probably be prompted with a welcome screen. You can just close that for now, and then once you're ready, go to File in the top left corner and click Open Folder, and then go to wherever you saved the folder. So I saved it on my desktop and Discord tutorial bot, and click select folder. And if it shows this, just check this trust the authors of all files in this desktop and click yes, I trust the authors. And then Discord tutorial bot should be over here or whatever you named the folder. So this means you're inside the folder right now, and if we create a file here, then it's actually gonna change the file in the actual desktop. Visual Studio Code is basically just another way to manage files, and it's what most people use when they write code. So after that, go to terminal and click new terminal. That's gonna open the console or the terminal. In here you have to type npm init-y, just exactly what I typed here, and click enter. This is basically going to set up your project, and it created a package.json. And here these are basically the details of the project. You can change the name if you want. You can set a description, and an author you can put your name if you want. But everything else I recommend keeping it as it is. And if we go back to our desktop and open this from our desktop, you can actually see package.json is actually here. So whatever you do in Visual Studio Code, it actually does it. It changes the files on your computer. So once you've done that, we're going to create a new file by pressing this button and name it index.js. This is basically where the code is going to start. So we have to install some packages. So first we're going to install discord.js. Discord.js is the API that actually lets us connect and do stuff in our Discord bot. So to install packages, we just have to type npm I and then the package name. In this case, our package name is discord.js, and click enter. So it might take a few seconds, but you should be seeing something like this when it's done. And you can see it actually created two files. It created a package lock.json. Package lock.json is basically like package.json, but it's all the details about each package or dependency that you have installed. And it also created the folder node modules, which is where all of your packages are stored. But we don't have to do anything with those right now. So in index.js, we can actually start coding. You do need to know a little bit of JavaScript to get started. Of course, you can just copy whatever I'm doing and it should work for you. But if you know at least the basics of JavaScript, it'll be easier to follow along in this tutorial. So we're going to say const discord equals require discord.js, and this is creating a variable. Discord is the variable name, and what the variable is equal to is this. So require discord.js is basically requiring the discord.js package that we just installed, which lets us communicate with the Discord API. And instead of naming it Discord, we're actually going to put two curly brackets. And in Visual Studio Code, if you type 1, it actually auto-completes and it automatically types 2. So that's what makes it really easy in Visual Studio Code to code things. So we're going to type client and gateway intent bits. So in this tutorial, we're using Discord.js version 14. If you go to package.json, you can see in dependencies, it says Discord.js. This is where all of your dependencies are listed, or you can call them packages. And you can see Discord.js, we have version 14.3.0. Version 13 is a little bit different, so make sure you have version 14 if you want to follow this tutorial. So we're going to create another variable, which is our client, and it's logging in. So const client equals new client. So this, again, the variable name is client here, and it's set to a new client, and the client is getting from discord.js. Whenever you put these curly brackets around the variable, it's basically extracting it from discord.js. So basically, if you just said discord like this, you would have to put here new discord.client over here. So you would have to go into Discord and then access the client. But if you do what it was like here, then you can access the client straight away. It's basically just less to type. You can technically also just name Discord and say new discord.client, but this way is easier and faster. And inside the new client, you have to put curly braces and mention the intents. And the intents are basically what your Discord bot has permission to do. We actually don't need gateway intent bits. If you just go to this website, Discord intents calculator.vercel.app, you can select all of the intents you want and it'll give you a number. And make sure you have these top ones checked too. So I'm just going to select all of these. So I selected all of them. These are basically different permissions of what your bot is able to do. So guild bans is basically band members or access the bands. Guild messages is if you want to read messages and do anything with messages. Same thing with invites or presences or basically anything here. And each one gives you access to a different event. So since I selected all of them, I get access to all of the events. And in the calculator below, it gives you a number. So you just need to get this number and put it in here. So the number is, if you actually click on this, it doesn't copy. It doesn't work if you click on it, it doesn't actually copy. So I'm just gonna type in 3276799, 3276799. And you don't have to go to this website, you can just type in the same number because it's the same one for everyone. So by typing in that number, it basically gives us access to all of the intents, so we can do anything in the bot. And we're also gonna make some partials. Partials is something like intents, but it's kind of different. In partials, we're gonna say in all capital, message, channel, and reaction. And make sure these are surrounded by square brackets and quotation marks, and separate each one with a comma. So this client variable is basically our bot, but we actually need to create a bot now, and we have to log in. So we're gonna say client.login, and then here is our bot token. Over here we have to type our token, so I'll teach you how to get the token right now. So you need to go to this website called discord.com/developers/applications. This is called the Discord developer portal, and this is where the bot developers or anything developers in Discord can do with their applications. So make sure you're signed into your Discord account and click new application. This is the name, so type in the name of your application. I'm gonna name it MillionBot. just for this tutorial. And don't worry about the theme, you can just keep that as personal or whatever that's set as, and click create. You can upload a icon for your app and make a description if you want and add tags, but then you have to go to the bot category and click add bot. This is gonna add a bot to your application so you can actually interact with the bot and connect to the bot. Click yes, do it. And by default, the username of your bot is the same as your application, but you can also change the username and the application. The application name and the bot username are not the same thing and same as the icon. But once you're in the bot category and you add your bot, scroll down and make sure these three options are selected: privileged gateway intents, the presence intent, server members intent, and message content intent. There are lots of Discord intents, like I showed you before in the intents calculator, but these three are kind of special. You need to select them separately. You need to enable them separately in the Discord developer website. You can't just use them in here. You actually have to have them enabled. So make sure you have those three enabled, or your bot won't work. Next, go to the OAuth 2 category and click URL generator, and make sure to select bot and applications.commands. The bot is basically an invite link for the bot, and applications.commands is letting your bot create commands on the server, create/commands. And then select whatever permissions you want. I'm just gonna have it have administrator, which is all of the permissions, and click and copy the link below. And then go to a new tab and go to that link. And this is the invite page for your bot. You've probably seen this before whenever you add bots to your server. And select whatever server you want. I'm gonna add it to my recording server, which is just a test server. And that's what I would recommend for you guys too. You should have a separate testing server where you can test your bots in, instead of just making it public. Then you'll have no way of testing it. Or you can just create a private channel in your Discord server if you don't want to create a whole separate server for it, and click continue and click authorize whatever permissions you have and complete the captcha challenge. And once it says authorized, go to Discord, and if you go to the server, you can just see million bot just landed or whatever join message it says. You can see the bot is right now, it's offline because we didn't run the code yet, and it's not even connected to the bot. So if you go back to the Discord developer portal, go back to the bot section and click reset token. Yes, do it. And if you have two-factor authentication enabled, you have to enter your 6-digit authentication code. And once you click submit, it's going to regenerate the bot token, and click copy. So you should definitely not share this to anyone. I'm just going to show it to you guys because I have to show you how to set it up. But after I'm done recording, I'm going to reset the token so you guys can't log into the bot. So basically, anyone who has your bot token can log into your bot and do anything. So you definitely have to keep your bot token secure and don't give it to anyone unless you trust them or if you want them to log into your bot. So go back to your code, and in the client.login, in the quotation marks, paste in your bot token here, and this is going to log into your bot token. So if we just save that, make sure to press Ctrl S to save. And to run the bot, you can go to the console. I'm going to clear and click and type in node space dot. If you type node space dot, that basically starts, and it's going to start the bot. Right now we didn't say anything for it to say in the console, but you should in the code make it console.log something so you know the bot is online. So if you go back to Discord, you can see million bot is now online. Right now, of course, it doesn't do anything because we didn't code any commands or any features, but it's just online. I'll show you how to create a simple ping command. So events, if you want to access any events, you need to do client.on, and then in parentheses, in quotation marks, you put the event name. So I'm gonna create a ready event. The ready event is whenever your bot logs in. So whenever your bot logs in, you can do a function. So after the quotation marks, put a comma, space, and then an empty parentheses, and then an arrow function. This is kind of advanced. So after the empty parentheses, you put an equal sign and a right arrow or a greater than symbol, and then that's an arrow function, and put curly brackets and press enter. That's gonna if you're doing this in Visual Studio Code, it's gonna automatically format like this. And basically any coding software automatically formats when you do an arrow function. So basically automatically creates a new line when you do that, when you press enter. So whatever you say inside here is gonna happen whenever the bot is ready. So whenever it logs in. So I'm just gonna say console.log, and then I'm gonna say put backtick. Instead of quotation marks, I'm doing backtick. I'll show you guys why in a second. And the reason we're doing that is so we can put a $sign and curly brackets. That basically lets us access any variable or anything from our code inside quotation marks. So we're gonna say here in here client.user.username. So that's getting the username of our bot. The client variable is basically just our bot, and we're going into the client, into the user, into the username. If you don't want username, you can also say like ID, which is the bot's ID, or tag, which is the bot, and you can even say display avatar URL with a function, and that's gonna say the URL of the avatar of the bot. But I'm just gonna keep it as username, and after the closing bracket, I'm gonna say has logged in. So in total, it's gonna say console.log client.user.username has logged in, or in our case, it's gonna say millionbot has logged in. So the reason we did the backtick is so we can access this variable inside quotation marks. So if we change this to normal quotation marks, double quotes, then you can see it's not colored differently. So that means it's just gonna say client.user.username has logged in. But if we make it a backtick, then it's actually gonna get the code and it's gonna say millionbot has logged in. So I just make sure to save it by doing Control S, or you can just go to File and click Save here. And right now it's running. So if you want to turn it off, then type Control C. If you do Control C, then it cancels. And then once it says this, once it goes into the command prompt, then you know it's canceled. It's still online, but that's just because it takes a while to actually log out. So if you do clear, it's gonna clear the console, and I'm gonna run it again. And this time you can actually see it says in the console millionbot has logged in, because that's the username of our client. I'm also gonna show you guys how to set the presence. That's basically how to have activity when your bot says, like, for example, playing something. Like over here, I'm playing Visual Studio Code because I'm on Visual Studio Code. You can see in my server, if you just scroll down to the bots, you can see the verified bots are playing an activity. So you can basically make this say whatever you want. So in order to do that, inside your ready event, you could also technically do this outside. You can also say console.log client.username has logged in. But that might be a problem because it might run before the bot has actually logged in, because it might take a second for it to log in, and it's gonna run this code before the bot actually logged in, and it's gonna get an error. But if you do it inside the ready event, it's gonna happen after the bot has logged in and after the client is ready. So make sure to have anything that has to do with the bot inside your ready event. So to make that, you can type client.user.setPresence and then a parentheses and curly brackets and press enter to create a new line. And the first thing is going to be setting the status, and put a colon and quotation marks, and it gives you the four options. In Visual Studio Code, this is really helpful. It basically auto-completes your code, so it knows what is supposed to go here. So the four different options are do not disturb, idle, invisible, or online. Most people make it online. You can also just, if you want, when you go here, you can navigate with the arrow keys and press tab to autocomplete, and then put a comma and a new line, and type activities and another colon, and this time it's going to be an array instead of a quotation marks, which is a square bracket, and then put curly brackets and press enter. And here is the name of the activity. This can be whatever you want. I'm going to name it hi, just to test. And then after the quotation mark, put another comma and press enter. And here's the type. So if you go to here discord.com/developers/docs/game_sdk/activities. When you go to applications, this is where we were a few minutes ago. You can also go to documentation, which is basically everything about the Discord API, and it basically tells you how to do everything. So if you're confused on anything, you can go to search and search anything on how to do it, and you should get a result somewhere in the docs. So in the activities section, you can see the different activity types. There's playing, streaming, listening, watching, custom, or competing. Most people use playing, which is 0. Some people also use listening or watching or streaming. So I'm gonna set the type to 0 and click save and save it. And then when I run it, it says MillionBot has logged in. And if I go to the Discord, it says playing high. So another example, if I put it to 2, then 2 is set to listening. Then it's gonna say listening to high. Or if I make it 3, it's gonna say watching high, and etc. And I'm pretty sure if you say 5 when it's competing, it's gonna say competing in high. So that's how to set the presence. And now I'm just gonna show you a simple ping command. I'm also gonna show you more commands and how to do more stuff with your bot later in the series. So make sure to subscribe if you want to learn how to do more stuff with your bot. So to create a text command, when you do, for example, !ping, it's gonna send the bot's ping. We have to create a message create event, and the message create event is whenever someone sends a message. You probably know there's also slash commands when you do /ping. Right now it's not showing anything because the bot doesn't have a slash commands, but when you do /ping, it's gonna send. Slash commands work a little differently. I'm gonna create a separate tutorial on those later in the series. So again, make sure you subscribe so you don't miss another video. So for the message create event, I'm gonna do the same thing as here, client.on, but this time the event name is going to be message create, and then again the same thing as here, it's going to be a comma and an arrow function, but this time instead of leaving the parentheses empty, we're going to write message and then do the arrow function, the curly brackets, and click enter, press enter. And the reason we had to type message in here this time is because we actually want to access the message. Over here we had nothing to pass in because ready is just whenever the bot is ready. But if we left this empty and then the message.create event, in the message create event, we couldn't really do anything with the message. But if we passed in the message, then we can actually do stuff with the message. So we can say message.delete or message.reply. But in the ready event, there was nothing really to do anything with. It's just whenever the bot is logged in. But in the message create event, we actually need to do stuff with the message, so we need to pass in the message. So here we're going to type if message.content.to lowercase is equal to, and if you want to type equal to, you actually have to type 3 equals in JavaScript, and then we're going to say an exclamation mark ping, then a curly brackets and enter. This is called an if statement. So it's basically checking if this value, whatever is inside these parentheses, is true. If it is true, then it's going to do whatever it is inside here. So this is checking if message.content, the message.content is whatever the message text is. So for example, when I send exclamation mark ping, the message content is exclamation mark ping. So it's going to check, it's going to convert that to lowercase, so that's gonna make it not case sensitive. So basically, if I say all uppercase ping, then if we get rid of the .to lowercase, it's not gonna work because it's only gonna check if the message.content is equal to this, and it's not equal to this because it's checking for a lowercase value, but the one I send is all uppercase. So if you want it to work with any case, then you have to convert it to lowercase. So whatever I send here, if I say like some random, some uppercase and some lowercase, it's basically gonna convert this all to lowercase. So message.content.to lowercase, it's gonna think of the message.content as lowercase, and it's gonna check if the lowercase version is equal to this. So it doesn't matter if you type it all uppercase or some lowercase, some uppercase, it's just gonna, if it's equal to this, and the case doesn't matter. So whatever is in here is actually our command. So I'm just gonna say message dot reply and another backtick. So I told you how the backtick works earlier, so we can access variables from inside strings. If you don't know what a string is basically anything in quotation marks. It's basically another way to say text, but in coding, people call it strings. People don't just call it text, so you should call it strings. Basically anything that's surrounded in quotation marks are strings. So inside the backticks, we're gonna say bot ping and a colon and $sign brackets like we did earlier, and we're gonna say client dot ws dot ping. So that variable is the ping of the bot. WS stands for WebSocket, so it's getting the WebSocket ping, and we're gonna style it a little bit. So in Discord, if you don't know, normally if you surround your messages with these, then whatever you say inside becomes a code block. They call it a code block. And if you surround them with these, then it makes it bold. And if you surround it just with just one star, then it's italic. And two underlines, it makes it underlined. And if you make it a greater sign and press space, whatever you say becomes kind of a line. And that's to just make it look cool and everything. And if you press shift enter, it makes a new line. Then we can say whatever you want, and it's just like a line beside your text. Those are default Discord formatters, and you can use them with bots too. So I'm gonna make this bot ping text bold, and I'm gonna surround this with these to make them a code block. But you can see it kind of gets messed up because the quotation marks themselves are backticks, and if you add another backtick inside, then the format is gonna get messed up. So beside those, you need to add backslashes and this one. So now I'm gonna just add spaces between them to separate them, so it's easier to understand. So this one and this one, these two backticks are basically the surrounding the string. That's basically what the string is. But if you put another backtick, then it gets messed up. But if you put a backslash, then it tells the code, it tells JavaScript to ignore it. Whatever you put a backslash behind ignores whatever is in front of it. Even here, when I put a backslash, you can see the T is blue, and that means the T is going to be ignored. And you can put the backslash anywhere to ignore it. So that means the code isn't going to do anything with it, but it's still going to be sent in the message. So it's going to be formatted as a code block. And beside the ping, I'm going to say ms, which is for milliseconds. So it's going to say however much the ping is in ms, which is milliseconds. So I'm going to log out and log back in. Oh, I actually forgot to save it. In Visual Studio Code, if there's this dot, if you hover over it, then there's the X icon to close the tab. But if there's a dot next to your file name, that means it's unsaved. And if I do Control-S to save, you can see the dot disappeared, which means it's saved correctly. So I'm gonna log out again because I forgot to save it the first time, and log in. And now you can see it still says competing and high because they never changed it from 5. So I'm gonna say !ping, and it's gonna reply with bot ping 45 ms. The first command that bots have is usually the ping command because it's the most basic. Most people just have it to make sure the bot is online. So this is the first command you should add. And later in the series, I'm gonna teach you how to make this into an embed. Like in my other server, I have more bots, and I can do /ping with, for example, dankmemer, and it kind of sends it in an embed, and it kind of looks better and everything. So later in the series, I'm going to teach you guys how to create embeds, and you can do this in any command, even slash commands or normal text commands. You can make embeds, which basically just makes it look better. And once you're done, make sure all of your files are saved, and you can close all the tabs, and make sure to log out of your bot and delete the terminal, and then you can just close Visual Studio Code. And like I showed you before, if you actually go into the folder from your desktop, you can see all of the files that we created actually created here too. so this is actually saved onto your PC. The problem with having the files saved on your PC is it can take a lot of performance if you have a lot of commands on your bot, and also it's not going to be online 24/7. So even if you don't close the terminal like we did, if you just close out of Visual Studio Code by pressing the X in the top right corner, it's gonna be offline. It's gonna cancel the bot, and a few minutes later it's gonna go offline. I'm also gonna show you guys how to do that later in the series, so stay tuned for all of that. And if you're having any errors or anything, if just anything's not working, make sure to join my Discord server, Millions World. I'll leave the invite link in the description. That's all for today. I hope you guys have a great day, and I'll see you in the next video. Goodbye.